Never trust a man in a tunic.
Absolutely. Sleestak.
Yes! Okay, thank you. No one's like... Lost. The discussion became, what's a tunic? And
hey, Neil, can you come here real
As soon as Link wears a tunic.
I know, and so I was like, I decided to completely erase it, and I put it's associated.
I got all that. It's recording.
Okay,
perfect. Just come here.
So
I need. Tell me if it's sharp. Because my eyes are. It's sharp.
So I
right?
left it like that, and I walked out. That was the quote.
Okay.
No, it's flat.
Hey guys, welcome back to ProCastInNation. This is Naveed,
Alex, Joe,
And Neil.
I'm sorry. Anyways, guys. All right, welcome back. This is our third episode. So we're going to be having a lot of cool topics here. We got a lot of user submissions, so thank you guys so much for all the topics that you gave us to talk about. And I want to apologize to one of my friends in advance. You'll know who you are in a second. So if you guys are ready, we are going to just jump into it. How does that sound?
Let's do it.
Sounds good.
All right. So let's go over what the topics are going to be. This main one is going to be huge subject. So you're already going to understand as soon as I say it. Gamer skill. And we're going to have some subcategories. But that is the general idea of what this whole podcast is going to be about today. And that's going to come in different forms. It's going to be different levels of form. We're going to be discussing player mindsets, things like that. So if you guys are ready, I'm going to bring off the first one. And this was submitted by, you already know, Vanessa. I'm sorry, Christian, but Vanessa wrote in and asked, my boyfriend Christian thinks he is very good at League of Legends. Will he ever hit gold horn? And for those that don't know, I'm sorry, Christian. He's one of our buddies that believes himself to be much better than he is, unfortunately. He has been, last season we did everything we could. I was Yoda, all right? I was coaching him while he was running through the jungle, trying to get him to use the Force the right way and hit Platinum. Couldn't do it.
I duoed with him. Yeah. Couldn't carry all the way.
The dude's heavy. So that brings up a really interesting topic, though. So what makes people think they are better than they are? And this is across any game, honestly, anything in this world. Like, honestly, what makes people think they're better than they are? Alex, let's start with you, man.
I think it's a psychological issue between reinforcement and punishment. Basically, when you reinforce something, you either give a better, a bonus to someone. Like, so if you did a good job at work,
like positive reinforcement.
Yeah, positive reinforcement. Negative reinforcement is taking away something that hurts you for doing something good, and then punishment is adding an adverse effect as well as taking away a bad one at the same time. And so with the psychological issues, like, you sit there, you play a game, and we all carry and everything. And Christian, he doesn't particularly do super awful, going 1 in 15 every time. He doesn't do great. And so, but we sit there and we also have someone else that does a bad scoreline, and he blames it on them. And people tend to agree. Like, if me and you are a duo and you start sucking, but he sucks worse and I don't know him, and you say we blame it on him, I'm gonna reinforce it. Be like, yeah, dude. If we played better, we might have done this. And so, I think with the whole, as far as specifically talking to this user submitted, I think the whole mentality of friends adds to not improving just because you're not really punished or really told how bad you're doing. But in general, with people that are just playing and they're doing bad and they're not improving and they still think they're better, it's just because they latch on to something, and it's really hard to kind of face your own faults.
So you're saying that it's more so ownership of me being able to look inward and understand my own mistakes, and to learn from my own. Because instead of people, especially in a game like League where there's 5 players, or I should say 10 players at that point with the enemy team, it's very easy to say, well, I might have did this wrong, but you did all this wrong. Yeah. So my mistake gets dwarfed. And I think that's a huge thing, because a lot of people have to understand that when you make a mistake, just because someone makes a bigger mistake, it does not erase yours. Your mistake is still there, and if someone else is making a mistake, you guys are just making it harder on yourselves across the board. I think this is one of my biggest things. So when people think they're better than they are, I think it is them giving themselves excuses that are okay to use to explain why they are not where they want to be. And what I mean by that is, this is something I hear all the time. I'll ask someone, I'll be like, oh, do you guys play any games? Do you play any games? They'll say, yeah, I play League of Legends. I'll be like, oh, cool, what rank are you? They're like, I'm silver. Probably, I play around a platinum, diamond, challenger. I'm like, really? But you're silver? And like, yeah, I mean, I just don't play enough. I don't play enough. You know how it is. Well, I mean, so something's stopping you, right? So it's either going to be your skill level is not where you think it is, you're not dedicating enough time, or maybe you just are really, really confused about what it takes to be good in that game. Because something has to not translate, right? It's not the entire world. Mm-hmm. If every other person that is in, let's say gold, for example, if every other person that's in gold is gold, and you're saying they're not good, why can't you get there? Mm-hmm. What's the problem?
It's deep.
So, Joe, what do you think?
I think you're wrong.
Okay.
Wow. All right.
Good
right off the bat. Bang, bang.
Because, so you're saying it's like a whole, it's my problem, not their problem kind of thing?
No, I'm saying it's their problem, not my problem. I'm saying people sit there and say, I'm good, it's that everyone else is bad, and it's fueled by the fact that no one is telling them they're bad. Like, Christian, this is your wake-up call. You got to get better, bro.
I'm sorry.
I mean, no, because I don't like playing with friends because of that purpose. They tell you all the time that you're wrong. You're doing this wrong. Doing all this stuff.
Friends.
No, I honestly agree.
I mean, how many times have we have to tell you? Like, how many times did you go mid? Feed, and then it was because I didn't play this certain Shaco or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Or how much of that stems from you personally? You have the person giving the advice is the one that thinks he's better than he is. It's like, I don't play that character, but I have the knowledge base, so I'm going to tell you were wrong because I've seen that before. I think you're right. I think if you're playing with somebody that has a biased opinion, and for good or for bad, is either trying to amp you up when you don't need to be, or is on you when it was out of your hands anyway.
All right. Well, here's my rebuttal on that. Fact is every time I feed, I troll. This is how I do it. That's
okay.
Okay, wait, hold on. Wait. Are you? Yeah.
No.
Are you trolling to feed, or are you feeding and then saying you're trolling?
No, I'm trolling to feed. That's why I don't play with friends. We've had this talk when me and him tried to start a team. The reason I didn't really want to be on his team is because whenever I play with friends, I
got that backwards. The reason I didn't want to be on my team is because whenever we play, and this is a nasty habit, we as a team will secure a lead. Let's say 15 kills, huge gap, crushing the game. He takes that as an opportunity to start building the stupidest items and using his flash, using his heal, standing in the turret and going and just kind of like trashing on everybody. And then we lose their lead and we lose.
Let me tell you, we've got a term for that here at Slash. We call it Johns. You got Major Johns. And
that sounds like a good thing.
No, it's I got Major Johns. Ladies. Yeah, right. It's one thing if one thing goes wrong and then you throw the whole thing, you're like, oh, well, I lost because this. Or you didn't catch up with something and you're blaming on everything but yourself. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, well, and it's a lot easier doing League because you got 4 or up to 9 other people to blame it on.
Super easy to blame it on people.
So, but I can say, when you're looking at it from a one-on-one mentality, the thing with fighting games, usually where people get an overinflated sense of ego, is they will... Oftentimes, you start in the neighborhood and you end up being the best one in the garage or whatever. Then you're the best one on the block. Then you're the best one here, you're the best one there. You're going to hit a roadblock where somebody else was the best one on the block. And at that point, you have one of two things. You can either adapt, which people hate, but
it's adapt or die.
Yeah. Or you can just rest on your laurels and then say, I was able to do this once. So, because you'll get people that brag all the time. Like my homie Kareem, I mean, he does it jokingly, but he was playing Zero in friendlies at DVA 9 or 10 or something like that. And Zero was trying to do something to him, and he attempted it 10, 15, 20 times, couldn't get it.
Yeah.
And he beat him. He's like, I beat him in friendly, so that means I beat Zero. I'm like, nah, that's not what that means at all. But, he recognized and understood it, but at the same time, you're going to have people in the community that take that, and that's where they're going to base their skill level off of.
Well, let me tell you a secret, all right? So, on that same note, I have been beaten by players that were way worse than me, and it was pure luck. But you know what? I took it with a grain of salt, too. This is really funny. So in Magic the Gathering, if you guys have never played, you draft a deck in this format. It's draft. And it's kind of like Hearthstone Arena, if you guys have ever played that, where you get a limited number of cards and you select, but instead of having 3 cards to pick from, you start with a pack of 15, and once you take one card out, you pass it to your left, and then you pick up the pack of 14, and you keep going until there's no cards. Well, this one kid played me. He's very, very new to Magic. And I was, trying to be nice to him, and I was like, oh, so, well, what did you go for in the draft? And he was like, oh, I built the Rainforest deck. I'm like, what the hell's a Rainforest? Well, what do you mean? And he's like, oh, I got one bear, I got one chicken, I got one elephant, I got one zebra. I'm like, oh, this kid's an idiot. So I played him, and he destroyed me. Like, I mean, it was so bad. Like, he put me in the dirt, like 6 feet under. And I was just sitting there like this. I'm like, I just lost the Rainforest deck. Like, I have to call this a thing now.
Yes,
and of course, it was funny, but at the same time, I'm not going to go. He's not going to go around and be like, oh, I'm better than
Right? Yeah.
It's an understandable thing. But so on that note, Alex, because they both kind of got on you there, they kind of rode you there. All right. So, what makes people think they are better than they are, and how are you going to counter those points of them saying their friends tell them how bad they are every time they play, so they play with other people?
Well, all right. So this kind from 1v1 experiences, which is a whole different field than League of Legends, because I'm a pretty good Mortal Kombat player, and my first tournament I got smashed round 1, and I thought, this sucks. I can't play online tournaments. This is not my fault. I went to an in-person tournament, got smashed round 1, and I said, all right, I suck at this game. I quit. So it's a whole different field on 1v1s. But the whole thinking they're better than they are, it's just you don't want to admit it. Like, improvement can only come when you finally say, yeah, dude, I suck. And that's not the easiest thing to do. It's almost like taking responsibility for a crime. Like, it's not the easiest thing to do. It's a lot easier just to say, nah, he did it. Or, like, let someone else blame another person for the crime. It's easier to say, no, he's a good player. I'm still really good. He's just better than me. Like, oh, okay, whatever. I'm still really good. I'm top notch. It's easier to say that. And that's why people think they're better than they really are, is because they just sit there and they excuse every win, every loss. And they say, when they win, it's, I destroyed them. I'm so good. When they lose, it was close. Or it was someone else.
So when I win, of course I won, and when I lost, like, easy. They got lucky.
Yeah, and it's like, and that's exactly it. And you can look at pro players that do this all the time. Mewtwo King, I know we brought him up before.
8 frames alive.
8 frames alive. I mean, Mewtwo. There's no denying Mewtwo King is a pretty good. Like, yeah, I mean, he's a pretty good player. Like, there's no denying that. But
one of the best.
But he won't be the best. Like, he won't be number 1 until he stops excusing it. But like, he doesn't have the whole need to excuse because he's still up there. And so you could just say, nah, I'm good. He just played better. Nah, I'm good. I have lag. Nah, I'm good. I don't know how he won. So he got lucky.
So do you think humility makes a better player?
Humility would definitely make a better player. And that's something I've been working on a lot, actually. And this is why I still don't like to duo queue, is because every time I win or lose, I always try to watch my recordings of my matches and figure out what I did wrong. And it's hard enough to sit there even on a loss and say, oh, I did that wrong, because I sometimes just sit there and be like, dang, he did that really well, instead of saying I should have done that. So even on a loss, it's hard to do, and it's really hard to develop humility. And those who actually get it, I think, will improve really well, and they'll figure out where they actually stand. Because right now, and that's just something I'm working on.
Okay.
Joe, do you have?
I mean, so you're saying humility, will prevent or help a player grow?
Yeah, and it'll finally figure out. It will change the here's where I'm pretty sure I am to here's where you really are, and it'll put that right.
And so that's where you just say, okay, I'm good with it.
How do I just already know you're going to argue based on your facial expression towards him? So that's what you're saying.
So that's where you cut the line. Because you did the online tournament and you sucked, and then you did the offline tournament and you sucked. So then
I gave up. I was like, my thing was like, oh yeah,
that's a good amount of humility. Yeah, so humble that you don't even want to play anymore. I respectfully at 0-2.
No, that wasn't humility. That was just me being like, all right, this game sucks. I hate everyone. Y'all suck. I'm out. That was my Eric Cartman.
I think maybe humility might have a place, but it's definitely not the end all be all, because you can't always be putting the person that beat you on a pedestal. You can't be like, oh well, he got me this time, I'm gonna get him next time. No, you gotta get mad. You gotta be like, yo, that was bull. please run it back so I can smack it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you
have to have a bit of ego.
Yeah.
Because that makes you grow.
But then
that gives you determination. Not,
there's a difference between being completely out of your mind and thinking that, I'm going to log in tomorrow and be plaid because I'm just like, they're going to hand it to me. Like, there's no, my uncle works for Nintendo. Yeah, that's completely just...
my uncle works he thought he was Nintendo. The best, Mortal Kombat player, right?
Your uncle works
just because he beat me.
I beat
like 2 people.
I'm the best ever.
Hold on. Okay, so that's where this is coming from. That's where the tilt is. Yeah, so you're mad. He's mad. Yeah.
He's doing me. He's raging. He doesn't play Mortal Kombat either. He just quit.
So what happened was Alex was the best in the garage, and he went across the street and he got clapped up is what happened. So I want to. We can talk about this the whole time, but I got one more thing to say about it. Obviously, this is something that's purely psychological because it's something internal to yourself. You understand that.
I think I leaned in better.
Yeah,
but go ahead, yo.
Completely lost my train of thought. Okay, completely psychological. It's in your head, and the thing is, a lot of people. It comes from passion, right? If you're like, I know I'm not good at this. I know I'm not good at this. I can't play football. I can't play basketball. I can't play hopscotch. I lose in freeze tag.
Hopscotch. Have you ever played rugby hopscotch?
I'd rather not.
Yeah, that's a game for men right there.
So, but the only thing you have is, after I'm done getting my butt kicked at dodgeball and gym class all day, I can go home and beat up my little brother at Smash.
Jeez.
So, when that's all you have, it's very hard for you to not look at that as that's your only thing that's life affirming for you as a person, and it's what you're passionate about. Because if you were like, the only thing I want in life, my dream is to be a filmmaker, and then like Steven Spielberg's like, yeah, but your films are garbage, so what are you even doing? And if you take that to heart, yeah, your humility, you can build from it, but it's one of those things that I think the mentality for a lot of players and a lot of gamers in that situation, so the guys that go 1-2, 0-2 at nationals, things like that, but think they're that good, is they don't want to think they're not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't want to start all over.
All right.
So
yeah.
All right. So on that note, let's move on to the next subject. All right, guys. So next subject: how big is the gap between average players? Seriously?
Okay.
Bro.
I'll go.
You got it?
Bro,
right.
I got it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Jeez. All right. Go for it, man. How big's the gap? What they think they are versus what they actually are.
Oh, okay. I was thinking like actual players, like just the average player.
No, this is with everybody. I mean,
it's depending on your scene, but I think a lot of it is going to be. I think everybody wants to think positively, right, about their ability to play the game, so they're going to immediately assume that they're better than they are. Unless you're like Alex, and after you got waxed in your first Mortal Kombat tournament, you just hang up the controllers.
You're not going to need these.
But you know what I mean? When it really comes, I think for the average player, at the beginning, he's always going to think he's better than he is. He doesn't have to be obnoxious about it. He doesn't have to be bitter or anything about it. It's just going to be, I've got room to grow. I see the potential, all that. And as you become a veteran and you play more and you've gone through many iterations of the game, you start to realize, like, either maybe it's because I'm getting older, I'm not as good as I think I am, or I'm not as good as I used to be. That starts to come back closer to earth. I think there are very, 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 very few players that undersell themselves. They might say they do, but I doubt it, because
you think internally they don't think they
No, absolutely not, because you can't be a top player and think you suck the whole time. You're just not going to perform.
Yeah, I won nationals, but
yeah,
probably could be
like I've heard that all the time. Like people, like there's a difference between staying humble and just lying to yourself. Like to me, there's no reason to need to be humble. Like if you got it, you got it. And
I don't know about that, man. It's just, I think it's good to be humble, because I mean, like, let's be honest. No one wants to see someone that's just rude all the time.
I do.
That's
my boy. Actually,
you know what? It's very polarizing to do that, and so you're gonna. And then the problem is you're trying to appease the masses. There's nothing wrong with talking a little smack, in my opinion, but I don't think you just want to lose all humility. Like you need to understand. Like let's say you talk smack forever, right? You're just a smack talker. That's your new future. And someone beats you. What are you gonna do? You still gonna talk smack? Like, oh, they got lucky. Yeah, screw them.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna be like, you know what? They played a good game. Good job. You know what? Next time I'm putting you in the dirt.
And you know what? You just lost 5,000 followers on Twitter for that one.
Yeah.
You are supposed to be like, I ain't eat my banana this morning. Look, you don't even have to
I
blame
ain't eat my banana this morning.
You can blame the environment.
My oatmeal. My grandma was on fire. I mean, like, you know, I had to take my cat to his driving test.
Exactly.
I was in a rush.
Whatever you want to say. Whatever you want to say, it's perfectly fine to me. And I think the big one that comes to mind for me when you talk about something like that is Player Left from Melee.
That's like
you either love him or you hate him. I personally love him. I want to see him succeed. Screw everybody else that plays Melee. He should just win all the time. I'm not a fan of Mango. Don't care about M2K. Don't care about any of them.
So you think the best player?
No. I did not say the best player. The player I like the most.
That he wants to be the best.
That I want to be the best is Leffen. And for exactly that reason. Because there becomes a time where you either burn out or fade away kind of thing. And if you're always talking mess the whole time, you're going to burn out. You're going to get waxed. If it happens to you, you go to 5 nationals in a row and don't crack top 8. Like, no one's even going to give you the time of day anymore. But when you make the comeback, ooh, that comeback is so sweet.
Yeah.
So you just ride the highs and the lows. And when you're on top, everybody loves you. And when you're on bottom, everybody hates you.
So he's basically doing the wrestling.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Like you become the people's champion, and then you become the villain, and then the people's. Yeah.
Well, the people's champion never became the villain. He always was cooking.
Yeah, Leffen will forever be the villain.
Where he was kind of.
We'll leave it to you guys. Decide if The Rock was ever a villain.
Well, he was always cooking. Let's just get it right. But all right, so I'm going to disagree with that because I think as someone that is pretty cocky when it comes to games, I still think humility's the way to go. Like just across the board. Like now, don't get me wrong. I'm gonna talk some smack. Oh, I'm good at it too. I'm gonna put you on the ground when it comes to talking smack. I'll make your mom have to just. She'll have to baby you, coddle you, let you know everything's gonna be okay, breastfeed you. No, trust me, I'm telling you, I'll talk some smack. But I think at the end of the day, you have to give respect where respect's due. And if you see someone that beats you and they crush you, you just give them some props. But next time, don't be afraid to talk smack again. Mind you, like someone beats me, I'm like, yeah, they beat me. I'm gonna whoop them up next time, though. Next time they are woo. But you know what? There's a limit to everything, and I think we can all agree to that. There is a limit to everything.
Oh yeah,
that limit ain't easy to find.
I also check this out. But I also think the problem with Neil's argument is he's talking from the Smash community, which has been touted as being one of the snuggliest, softest communities. So you're looking for a villain.
We need it.
You need a villain. Yeah. That's why you're hyping everyone up to be mean.
I need to make that side bet money. We need a villain.
I mean, we can if we want to take to another aspect of that in League of Legends for sure. I remember when Zion Spartan, when not Darshan at that point, he used to talk smack quite a bit. He was one of the top, if not the top laner in both NA and EU, and he let people know it. And suddenly he became Darshan. He fell back in the rankings, and I don't hear him anymore. And I'm like, I used to enjoy watching you, and now on games when you're like performing, it's kind of like, Like I want him to. If you're always talking smack, like how Neil is saying, and you're on the top, people are gonna be like, dude, like yeah, you can't disagree with him. But then if you fall, people are like, oh, and they talk about it like, oh, he thinks he's so good.
So here's the issue with that: when you are on the top and you're talking smack, it leaves very little room in your ego to look at your own mistakes.
Well, that's if you fully believe everything you talk smack. No, it's like when you're humble, you don't like. I mean, like I said, if you win nationals and you're humble, you don't fully believe that. You're probably internally like, I'm the best, I'm the greatest. I'm just gonna say I'm not.
Yeah, but so it's the same. Well, hold on. So let's get back to this subject then.
Yeah.
How big do you guys think the average skill gap is, Joe? Where I think I am versus where I actually am.
For every player.
Let's use Christian as an example. Sorry.
Put him on fire.
Burn him up.
No, I think for a good amount of people, it's always. I mean, how do you classify that? Like,
let's use League. Let's use League. So you start at bronze 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I think it's
silver 5, 4, 3, 2. You're saying so if someone's silver 5, they're usually going to think they're gold 5.
Yeah.
I actually think that's pretty moderate. I think most players are going to be, if they're bronze, they think they're gold level. first of all, can I just tell you, platinum?
Well, I'm saying I'm not just League, but for like Smash.
Sure,
I think they're all a tier below where they actually.
You think they're a tier below? I think they're
for everything.
I think they're lower than that.
I think I think there's a tier difference. I don't think it can go.
It's
kind of
weird because it's like, League has its own thing. Dota
Well,
has
let's
its own
use
thing.
Rainbow
Six,
Six.
Well, League and Overwatch use pretty much the same thing, right? They use the same
Kinda.
ranking system for the most part. I mean, it's all same silver, platinum. They use ELO system. But what I'm getting at is let's use the scaling of League because it's so many tiers to it.
Yeah.
Like you have bronze 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, silver 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, gold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
A tier and a half.
Tier and a half. Okay. What do you think? If we're using that as a measurement scale.
I think so too, and I don't know too much about it, but I did see one metric, and a lot of games do this, and to me there's nothing wrong with it because you want the correct spread, but they will say, I want a certain amount of players in this tier, I want a certain amount of players in this tier, I want a certain amount of players in this tier, to create that kind of competitive nature.
Well,
and from what I've seen, and
that's their scaling, though.
Right.
That's not so much the player's skill level; it's more so the choice of the
problem with that.
Whoever makes the game.
Yeah, but the problem with that is when those changes come through. Last week you were bronze 3 or whatever. Next week you're silver 3 because they're anticipating more people playing the game. That's also going to give you a false sense of inflated ego.
Yeah.
Like, is Gold 5 today what Gold 5 was when the game came
Actually,
out?
Gold 5 today is much harder.
Yeah.
Than what Gold 5 used to be 2 seasons ago, but it's much easier than what Gold 5 was. Actually, I don't even know if that's true. I think it's actually just gotten harder to rank up.
Yeah.
There's more players. There's
more
players.
players.
There's more players, more information.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, anything below Diamond 2 is trash. I mean, sorry.
I get gold, I'm happy, I'm done. I'm like, all right, I'm done with League.
No, I think
dream big.
I gotta think
Hoop dreams.
I think the skill gap on average players is a tier, but I don't think it's always below. So I think it's either below or above. Aside from professional scene, in professional scene, I think ego and skill are very close. That doesn't even matter.
Sure.
But on average, I think there's always a tier difference. Whether you're actually a tier better than you think you are or a tier worse. And you gotta know, because one of my buddies, Arc Second, who is now, I think he's a sub for Team Liquid now. I can't remember where he's at.
Arc Second's
I don't know if he's still.
Arc Second's a very good player.
He was like the best challenger mid on
very
TSM's challenger team. Yeah, he's good.
I'd say he's top 5 mid in NA.
Yeah, I talked to him when we were buddies or hanging out at UNLV. He told me around season 2 or 3 he got banned for verbal abuse, and during that time he was silver bronze level. And in his ban, when he came back, he became like super humble because he got banned because he's always like, I'm better than you guys. Listen to what I say. You suck. I hate you. All those nasty words. And then he came back and he just an epiphany happened and he started saying, I got to learn what's making my mistake. And suddenly he started getting better, but it was still hard for him to climb based on everything that was going on. And so he was stuck in a silver gold era for a while, even though his skill was probably at the diamond or platinum in this case. So I think you're always a tier difference on your between your skill and your actual ranking. Just it can fluctuate either way. And people that are rising and getting better and better every day, they're probably a lot better than they are really ranked. It's just their ranking is taking some time to catch up. And so that's kind of where I'm at.
Maybe I don't know if I can fully get on board with that, but I think.
Just the odd one out today.
And maybe it's just because I don't play games that don't have that all have immediate satisfaction. Like if you put in your work, you're going to move up. But speaking of like the PR here in Vegas, we do it on a 3-month cycle. So every quarter we have a new one based off of the points at the end of the quarter. You're either in the top 10 or you're somewhere below. Top 10 get special benefits in a sense. You're actually on the PR at that point. Now, you can be cooking and have a great 2 or 3 weeks, and then after that, just lay a straight goose egg through the rest of the week or through the rest of the quarter. And depending on how everybody else did is going to determine where you end up. So, if you have that level of consistency, it's hard to say. I don't necessarily want to say that they're a tier above where they're at. I think it just ends up being one of those things where as long as you keep playing and pushing it, you'll find out where you're at, because your skill ceiling is, you're going to know where your skill ceiling is at, because if you think, you're that hot, you can always go online and be like, yo, let me play with this dude, let me play with this dude, and let me actually show you what it is. So,
wasn't Foe on PR for like 6
well, I
months?
mean, and we have other things
never
where
showed up for any event.
lack of tournament presence gets you off of it and things like that, but you still maintain your points. You're just not actually on there.
Before I stopped playing Magic, I was queued for the next 4 Star City Invitationals. I just played for fun in the area when I was just hanging out. I won a preliminary PTQ. I won a Grand Prix trial, and I did not go to any of the events. I felt bad because there were 2 events where I beat my friends in the finals, and I didn't give them the invite. And I let it rot. Sorry, Wesley.
I've seen that too.
So I feel bad.
Freddie did the same thing when he won doubles at Apex 2015. With MJG, they got the invites to Japan, and he never got his passport, or he couldn't find it, whatever it was. I'm sorry, I forget the story. Just didn't go, and a sub got set in his place.
Well, all right.
Free trip to Japan, man.
Let's move on to this one.
Going to Japan.
What the hell is that?
Come on. That's
I'm not afraid anymore. It's like Donnie Darko. No. All right. So
never mind.
Doesn't matter. Next subject. How to improve. Are you serious?
Dude, come on.
Just one time.
Okay.
Just one time.
Okay. It's up.
All right. Anyways, how to improve. How do these players get better? Like, first of all, Joe brought it up. Or I'm sorry, was it Alex? You brought it up where you said humility. He became humble, and all of a sudden he started learning with Arc Second.
Yeah.
And that helped him improve. Obviously, he doesn't think humility is necessary to improve.
Not at all.
It
helps, but it's
I will tell you what I think is the most important to improve. Don't lie to yourself. Be as honest as you can. Be your hardest judge. Like, when you look at your skill and your play, if you think something's a tiny mistake, make it the biggest mistake and internalize it and understand why you made it, how you can fix it. Because until your play is crisp, is just completely polished, you have no right to look at other people's play and critique them. And I think that's one of those important things. Like, when I see it in gaming, when someone goes, oh man, well, I should have did this, I should have did that. You have so much that you should have done before you even get to those like little ancillary things that had nothing to do with why you lost. Like, good example, me, Troy, and Chris, one of our buddies, we all went to Top Golf. While we're sitting there, Troy and Chris want to play Hearthstone with each other. They play Hearthstone. They argue over who should have won, who didn't do this right, who didn't do that right, where, I'm not kidding you, both of them at some point during their matches missed the kill on board. Like, just had to attack and kill the person. Didn't do it. Because they weren't doing the math. They were just playing the best card they could and trying to make it as flashy as possible. They just didn't understand they had the win. And they're all arguing about, oh, well, you drew this. Who cares? You didn't even take the win when you had it. Like, you have to be able to see these mistakes. And until you're even at the level where you can notice your own mistakes, or you can even notice the minor mistakes to get to the bigger ones and understand all that, you have no business talking. And with League, that happens so much because all these players are so focused on their mechanics. Like, let's use Christian, as an example. When Christian loses, what does he say? Why did I lose? I was 5-8. That's not that bad. That's not the reason you lost. Like, even if you have an advantage in lane, and I can attest to this because I've done this before. If I'm playing, let's say, top lane in League of Legends, and I beat the top lane opponent 5-0, my team might still lose. Why? Because I'm so absorbed in the top lane that I don't actually affect the rest of the game. And it was when I did not understand the flow of how the game is supposed to play out. And that's a huge thing that you'll see with these players. So a lot of times when you're at gold level in League of Legends, you are mechanically extremely close to Diamond, Master, and Challenger. It's the flow of the game and the understanding of what you need to do at each minute, how the opponent is going to react to those moves, that keeps you from climbing. And that's the big thing. So I think when it comes to how you need to improve, I think you need to, 1, get a fundamental understanding of how the game needs to play at your skill level. And then 2, you need to be able to look inwards and see what mistakes you make. What do you guys think?
I'll take the reins on this one. You said you shouldn't lie to yourself.
Not at all.
I think it can help when you do.
Lying to yourself?
Yeah.
So, all right, why not?
All right, hold on.
Can I just say you're dead wrong? He just came out with a really good explanation on it. Just like Jesus quotes. And then you come up and you're like, no.
Lie to yourself. Hold on.
Wow.
Wait, let's see where this goes.
Wow.
Go ahead.
Take me there.
So
Take me there.
All right, journey back 6 years when I was a chess player in high school. Okay, my coach, who is a nationally ranked chess coach, and he wins a lot of he goes to a lot of international tournaments.
A swimming coach.
No, it's a okay. No, so he wins a lot of
No one got that.
I got it.
No, I missed it. He wins a lot of nationals, goes international, plays a lot. Really a top tier chess player. There is not a single time where he would say that was a good game, ever. Every time, even if I have won a match where I didn't lose a single piece and checkmated the guy in 10 moves, and he goes, "You made a lot of mistakes," and I'm like, "How do I make a lot of mistakes in 10 moves?" And what he does is every move, I literally do move 1, pawn up. He's like, "Why'd you do that pawn up?" And I have to sit there and explain to him why I did that pawn up. He's like, "You could have done this pawn up." And I'm like, he hasn't even moved. Why would I move that pawn? And so he says that was a bad move, even though it won me the game and it started to win the game. So if you lie to yourself into the wrong way, not that you're better than you are, but if you lie to yourself saying that instead of like, that was a good play, you could say, "Nah, I messed up a lot." Like, you lie to yourself. Even though you probably didn't mess up, there's always a chance to improve it, no matter what. And if you ever get to the point where you say, "No, that was good, there was nothing I could have changed about that," you're in the wrong spot. You always need to be able to say, "This could have been better, and this is why."
Okay.
Even if it's a perfect play.
All right, on that note, this is something that living in Las Vegas we see a lot. I play a lot of blackjack. Love blackjack. So when I play blackjack, I will sit next to a player that will do the exact opposite of what you're saying. They'll make the absolute wrong play, and it might pay off. Let's say they split their freaking 10s.
Oh my god.
They split their 9s. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You already had a winning hand. Why don't you take the risk? And then they win because the dealer busts, and they go, "Oh, well, I won." The justification of you winning a random probability where you hurt your own odds does not make it the correct play just because it happened to work out that one time. And that's something, if you lie to yourself, that's what's going to happen. You're going to say, "Well, you know what? It worked out this time." But it's got to work. It's got to be the correct play across the board. And that's probably what your coach is trying to get through your thick skull.
It's also long. Got a little bit of bump right here, but anyways, that's for RNG based games. Let's go with fighting games. All right. Let's say you're up a full stock, right? And you're playing Nets, and so you're winning the game because you're able to land PK Thunders, and every time he gets back onto the stage, you hit him with a yo-yo. All right, you're kicking his butt because you're doing that. Okay. So if you were to lie to yourself and do the 50-50 random luck bad choice, you could say, "I'm going to try a PK Flash," which you don't have good control over because you don't practice that much. 50-50, yeah, you might get lucky, and he might just try to predict it, and you shoot him, and he's
that's
gone.
a coin flip at that point.
Yeah,
I'm not lying.
but that's not
that
could happen. But chances are it won't, because in Smash,
the chances are dead even. Actually, there is chances are they won't.
You just added a variable.
It's 50-50. If you somehow manage to figure out how to make a PK Flash into a 50-50.
I'm not saying I'm not saying
wildest mix up of all time.
I'm not saying 50-50. I'm saying your skill as an individual player on PK Flash is 50% of the time you hit it, 50% of the time you don't.
But if you hit
it 50% of the time, you're the best at using PK Flash for sure.
Okay, regardless of the point, I'm just saying.
If I was Charizard playing Bowser, could he down me?
Okay, I'm just saying that's different than blackjack, because blackjack is a pure luck RNG. Whether you drew that right card, technically you can kind of count probability. You could count it.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
But if you don't count it, it's based on luck.
Well, no. Because check this out.
Luck is probability is regardless how you feel about it.
The probability. Look, it doesn't. If I flip a coin, I don't care if I've gotten 85 heads in a row. The chance is still 50-50.
Yes.
It doesn't change, and that's what probability is. By lowering your own probability, you are lowering your chances to win. And when you lie to yourself about things like that, you're hurting yourself.
Yeah, but I would never say lie to yourself to say you're always better. I say lie to yourself to say you're always worse than what you're playing.
But it sounds like your coach is putting you on the ground already.
Yeah, coach. Every
bodied you round one.
All right, so we had 3 hours.
Did you play in Mortal Kombat?
Jeez. All right, moving on. Let's get your opinion on this. I'm out.
Jeez.
I was about to say the same thing.
Joe, get over here.
He took the words right from me.
You know what? Let's just move on to the next subject.
Hey, I got one last thing I want to say.
All right, last one. Go for it.
For me, the question isn't necessarily how to improve. It's can you improve? There's a lot of people that reach their skill gap or their skill ceiling, and they either don't have the time, the motivation, or literally don't have the motor skills to be able to push themselves forward anymore. So, is there a time where you now have to look back at yourself and say, okay, well, this is where I'm at.
Okay.
This is me
That's
now.
fair. All right. So let's now move on to the next subject. Is there a transitional or transferable skill gap that people take from game to game? What do you guys think? So if I am good at, let's say, Dota, I can obviously take it to League of Legends, can't I?
Mm-hmm.
I can take that to Heroes of New Earth. I can take it to Heroes of the Storm. I can take it to Paragon. So those are all transitional, right? Now let me ask you this. Let's say I'm good at Counter-Strike. I can take it to Overwatch. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. I can take my Overwatch skill to Hearthstone.
You might know some of the characters, I guess, maybe.
All right, well, let me ask you this then. Can I take my chess skills?
Yes, you take it anywhere.
I can take my chess skills.
Wow.
Anywhere. Mm-hmm. So I can take my chess skills to flag football.
If you're the coach, though, I mean, if you're the coach, so you got all them little dots and circles.
Hold on. I personally think that people will become more intelligent from learning the problem solving and the almost the different way of looking at the world and looking at problems. I guess it's kind of still problem solving, but it's more so just how you decipher and understand everything. Like trial and error is a huge thing. So that's all. Problem solving is so huge across the board, and I think that's. I guess I'm not solving this problem well, but basically, when you play a different kind of game, let's use Zelda as an example. Okay, when you play Zelda, you are going to go through and you are going to understand the dungeon. And when you screw up and you get shot in the face with a fireball and you die, you're going to go, all right, well maybe I shouldn't have done that. Next time you go through, you're probably not going to do that again, right? Or when you solve a cave, you're always going to stick to the right wall or the left wall, and you're going to try and solve it. Like in Skyrim, you're going to get lost. Real fast, funny story. Had a buddy named Chris, really cool guy, back in Maryland. And he used to play Skyrim, and I had never seen someone as bad at a game as he was at Skyrim. And that might sound impossible, but, alright, so the first thing is, he didn't understand when or how to name his character, so his character's name was Prisoner. Okay, so he skipped past that portion and he left his character's name Prisoner. And he gave up on Skyrim because he got stuck in a cave and he couldn't figure out the way to get back out. And so he just got upset and he didn't use his clairvoyance spell, he didn't find the door, he just gave up and deleted his character.
That actually happened to me. Not for Skyrim, Resident Evil 2. I couldn't get past the first
the fire circle?
The first thing that you play. I couldn't figure it out. And I just stopped.
That was like they did in
it was obviously not for me.
Was it the Division where they had this glitch with the Division when it first came out where there was a unit collision. So if you were a player controlled unit and I was a player controlled unit, I couldn't pass through you. So what people were doing was they were trolling. They would leave their characters logged in at in a circle around the first person you had to talk to start the game, and you couldn't get through them in any way. So you actually just couldn't progress in the game, and that was like a huge thing that turned people off to it. But I know. So I personally think it helps with your analytical skills. I think it helps with your problem solving. I think it helps with your hand-eye coordination, and I think it just kind of helps you understand the flow of how a game needs to go. And I think even a game like chess, it teaches you how to read an opponent, and it teaches you, to understand that you need to formulate a game plan to move forward. And I think that can transition to every game. Do I think it's the same level? No, every game's going to have a different level of how much transfers from one to the other. But I think everything does.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I agree, but I think you're right. I think that applies to about 1% of the gameplay. Like, everything else, especially if you're looking at fighting games, you need to know, well, you don't need to know, but it helps to know frame data. It helps to know, even control schemes and things like that, to where if you're playing Counter-Strike or something like that in a first-person view, and you're going from mouse to keyboard to a controller because you're going to play a fighting game, or you're going to a pad or something like that, like, you might have the snap reflexes and things like that might serve some purpose, but I don't think that going from a game like Dota to a fighting game is any different from going from like Zelda or another first-person RPG or something like that to that game.
Well, let me ask you this then. Let's use Super Smash Brothers as an example, okay? Mm-hmm. I'm a player that has played chess my whole life, and then I moved to Super Smash Brothers. I'll have a little bit that transfers over, right?
Yeah, like I said, like
Okay.
you'll understand the paper rock scissors kind of aspect of things. But that's
so check
about
this
it.
out. Now I'm a person that has never played a game, and I go to Super Smash Brothers. How do you think I'm going to do? Worse or better than the chess player?
Exactly the same.
You think exactly the same?
Even then, it depends on how good your
You wanna
fine
go?
motor controls are.
Hold on, I think I know where it's going. So, I too play chess. I'm not like apparently. Oh, I'm
Nerd.
He doesn't mention it every podcast, but
how I take it from other games is my whole how I play chess is I let them make the mistake. So if I have to make the first move, I make a basic move, or
It's called
I
he
do
plays
something.
the Dutch.
So basically, I let the players make the mistake. So
Play conservatively.
I play League of Legends. I do the same thing. I let them make the mistake. I know for a fact that they're going to get greedy. They're going to want to kill. So that's why I play like champions that have sustain. Have all this, so I can fight them.
I gotta ask, where's the sustain and Vigar support? So.
Well, I'm talking about top.
Oh, okay.
First
Excuses.
I also did
Hey,
brand
refer
support
back
before
to our
everyone
first
did.
subject we talked
Anyways.
about. Right?
Anyways, so fists are gonna be flying in a second. But no. So like when I played top, or when I used to, I would let them make the mistake because I knew they would go in. I knew they would do all this stuff. It's the same with like Rainbow Six. I know for a fact, like, okay, there's certain windows or doors that people are gonna come through or spawn. I mean, yeah, I'll admit I spawn kill a little bit, but
You're the worst kind of person.
I'm evil, but no, it's you plan a course of action, you play your pieces out, and then you wait for them to fall into the trap.
I don't think that's really skill transferring though. That's play style. Because like if you took someone with equal skill as you, but they were a purely aggression, and they continue to play purely aggression, you guys would still be on the same skill but have different play styles. I think that play styles transfers between games. Okay, let's just go to chess since we're on chess for some reason. So from chess to Smash, yeah, I'd probably say I'd agree with Neil 1%. Like that, because you sit there in chess and you're like your move is thinking about 15 of their moves. And then you try to do that in Smash, you're like, all right, what is he going to do? Oh, I lost a stock. Okay. Like, it's gone. And so it's like planning is there. But, like, if we're going from chess to a team game.
What about speed chess now?
Well, I mean, before we jump past it, I do want to say something about that. I've got a buddy, came from SoCal, and not for nothing, but SoCal's skill level is much higher than Vegas at the time. It still probably is, honest with you. That's just because
you're talking about in Smash, right?
In Smash, absolutely.
Not
But when he
chess.
came here to his,
They got nothing out of it.
So when he first came here, when he was playing these matches with people that usually go 1-2, 0-2, maybe 2-2, he was losing to them, and the reason is because he's playing these moves ahead. He's giving them more credit than they deserve, honestly. Because not for nothing, again, but Vegas. When you watch them play, a lot of them, it's like beating a head against the wall. They all do the same thing, and then whoever did it successfully more times wins. It's not that bad, but that's what it feels like a lot of times. So he was doing one of those, okay, well, I'm going to throw this out, and I know he's been using this to punish with, so then I'm going to do something else. But then he's going to suggest this, so I'm going to do that. And you end up double-thinking yourself to the point where you're either back to doing the first option, or you're doing something unsafe for the one thing he's going to do.
So that's actually a really interesting thing that you bring up, because I wrote an article a long time ago about this, and I used to teach a class for Magic, and I would teach players. And I'm hoping you guys have seen The Princess Bride, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, you guys.
No.
Well,
Yep.
Just being difficult.
No, I'm being real. I actually have
You
not
are
seen
an
that.
uncultured swine.
I know.
All right, so in The Princess Bride, there's a scene where there's a kidnapper, and the kidnapper has he has one guy that's amazing at sword fighting, loses to the pursuer, okay? Then he has a guy, Andre the Giant, gigantic dude, throws boulders, strong as can be, loses to the pursuer. So when the pursuer gets to him and he has this kidnapped girl with a knife, he goes, all right, well, sit down, or she's going to die, and we're going to play a game, and the winner's going to get her. And he goes, I have 2 glasses of wine. One of these, and he's like, so how are we going to solve this? He goes, all right. And this is the pursuer. He goes, all right, I'm going to pour poison into one of these, okay? I'm going to mix them up. You're not going to know which one I poured the poison in. At the count of 3, we both drink. And he puts the glasses in front of him. And it becomes this long, drawn-out discussion of the wine in front of me is the name of what I wrote. What it is basically this argument. All right. So a person that thinks with no analytical skill is going to drink the one in front of them. Why not? Bam, drank it. Okay? Mm-hmm. A level 1 thinker is going to go, well, he probably wouldn't put it in front of himself, so he put it in front of me, so I'll drink his. That's level 1. Level 2 is understanding what a level 1 person would think. Well, he probably thinks that that's what I would think, so instead I'll drink the one in front of me. And then a level 3 goes on and would drink the other one, and a level 4. The trick of this is to always be one level higher than what your opponent is. So first, you need to understand what level of thinker your opponent is. Then you want to be one level higher to always come out on top. And how we translated this to Magic, for example, is level 0 just plays. Level 1 understands what their cards do. Level 2 understands what your cards do. Level 3 knows what you most likely have. Level 4 knows what you most likely think they have. And that's one of those things where you're going to start twisting in. And, I mean, that's something that translates to any game. Understanding what people might be thinking or how far ahead they're thinking. And that's something you learn in chess. Doesn't that work?
It does, but again, fighting game or something like that, where movement is very precise and things happen so quick, you don't always have a lot of time to be thinking 4 or 5 or 6. You could think in generalities, like, oh, they just lost the stock, so they're going to turtle and try to punish to try to catch up or something like that. But you're not going to be able to be like, oh, well, he just threw a fair, and I spot dodge, so I know he's going to throw him.
No, but once you...
High-level players might be able to get to something like that, but even then, you end up sometimes giving them too much credit.
But here's what I'm getting at. Once you are playing a player of your equal skill level, but you have the background and analytical skills of chess, would you not have an advantage?
Again, it depends.
You're saying less than 1%, right?
Okay, I could bump you, in that case, maybe 5%.
Oh, Your Majesty,
you're welcome.
Here's your crown.
Don't spend it all in one place.
King Neil over here, grading me.
You can have all the analytical skill in the world, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to solo main duck hunt, and you're just going to get crapped on by everybody, unless, like, you're just the Diddy killer or something like that. You know what I mean? What I'm trying to get at is they do translate, but there's so much intrinsic for each game that you have to understand, especially because of the vast variety of games we have, both competitively and just for yourself, that the generalities of it will cover, but they're going to be so in tune with that game specifically that it's not going to bring enough to the table to make it.
Let me ask you this, Joe. What do you think is more important? Having analytical skill, for example, the translation of skill in chess, or being comfortable on a keyboard and mouse? What do you think would help you more in a computer game?
Analytical.
More so than keyboard and mouse?
Yeah.
What do you think?
And the reason...
I think keyboard and mouse.
Well, why do you think your point?
So I play a lot of FPS games, right? So your whole thing is you're thinking about like what the other player is going to do. Okay, if I'm watching this side, he's going to try and flank me because he knows he can't come to the right side, and my voice is just getting out.
I think he realizes you're lying because there's no thinking.
I know.
The old spray and pray.
So if you're holding down the right side, right, and it's in paintball too, holding down right side, Dorito side. If you're peeked out and you have it lined up, people already know, okay, he's going to get me way before I can even pull out and find where he is at, aim, shoot, and all that stuff. It's the same with games. So let me try and flank him. So like you standing there was like you thinking, okay, he knows that I have this line. So I would come around the other side. More times than not, when you switch over to the left side, they're coming around. And then you just light them up. So, always thinking ahead and having that, thought process is beneficial.
So what about if you can't load your gun?
Load your gun?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean?
You would not be on the paintball field, though. I mean, that's a basic skill. And
you could take it and throw it.
I know that's how paintball works. I think being comfortable on a mouse and keyboard is a different skill than knowing how to use a mouse and keyboard. While loading a gun would be knowing how to use a mouse and keyboard. Being comfortable in it would be equivalent to being able to actually position your gun around it. Because when we're doing paintballing, like it says Dorito, you're on that bunker and you're like this, trying to like make sure you're barely there. And then sometimes
Dorito is the pyramid.
Yeah, like there's like triangle.
They're just big and orange, so they kind of look like giant Doritos.
They're bunkers.
So Dorito D side is right side.
Yeah, I just keep thinking of like South Park pizza or French fry. Like, every time you say Dorito,
Snake is the one where the tubes are on the bottom.
I have no idea what the hell you guys are talking about.
All right, well, they're just
like
bunkers.
Snake.
I think you guys are
Doritos.
just psychopaths.
Well, all right, but okay, so the fact is that these are all different bumpers. There's 50, there's home, there's Snake, there's bumpers, Dorito, car wash, all this, right? We can explain.
You might as well be speaking Chinese right now.
I
didn't get any of that.
But the fact is each bumper.
It's like that game we were talking about the other.
Dude, why'd you put your Doritos in the car wash?
Well, all right. Well, the fact is each of these bumpers are different.
When you don't put your Doritos away, snakes eat them.
Doritos and snakes, car washes.
Wait, bumpers like when you're bowling and you suck and you get the bumpers? Like,
well, there's a 50-50.
I mean, yeah.
They were using your PK flash.
50-50 PK flash.
That's mixed up.
But okay, but either way,
fans are yelling at you, they're throwing things.
You have to know how to really
You got the
position your
analytical skill, so
gun
it doesn't matter.
in each of these bunkers. Like each of them, no matter what bunker you're at, it's a completely different position on your gun. Sometimes you're outstretched, sometimes you're coiled, sometimes your gun's out farther than you. That would be being comfortable on a keyboard. That would be the equivalent. And I think that would be a lot more important than, say, having having to realize what someone would do. Because if I'm sitting at Dorito, because that's our favorite one.
Dorito.
If I'm sitting at Dorito with
Dorito, I don't Dorito. No.
is this where you want to be when Jesus comes back?
It's horrible.
making fun of the
Jesus
speech impediment.
You're trying to talk so fast. You want to people that don't know what.
You want to make fun of his speech impediment?
A little bit. I kind of have an idea. But, well, Alex, let me ask you this then. Let's say you're like 8 years old and it's summer break, you're up late one night and you catch paintball on ESPN 15 or whatever it's on. And
It's on ESPN 8, the Ocho.
The Ocho. And you really want to play, but your dad's like, not till you're 13. Okay, cool. And you're watching, you're always into it. So you learn about Doritos and snakes and car washes and
50-50s.
and 50-50s.
And homes.
And you get your first marker. Do you even know what end the paint comes out of? Like, what if you're at Dorito? You're like, I saw the hole like this. Like, you just shoot yourself in the face.
Okay,
Like,
well, if you learn all that, you're going to learn that by default. Like, it's...
I think you're giving them too much credit, honest with you.
You honestly think you can sit there and learn every bunker watching live people play this and not realize that long barrel is...
Yeah, absolutely.
Bro, how do you watch
Absolutely.
TV? I watch TV and I think everything...
All right, guys, we're getting off subject.
Yeah, we are. I'm sorry.
We're starting to just make fun of Doritos.
Well, anyways, back to it is I think...
By the way, hold on.
Comfortable on keyboard.
All right, Doritos?
And car washes.
And car washes.
And any snakes out there. The snake game. There we go.
Snakes.
Snake
Snakes, planes, snakes on planes, Samuel L. You hook it up.
Back to where we were.
We're talking.
I don't
Okay.
even know where we were. Being comfortable on a keyboard and mouse is a lot more important.
Versus analytical.
I was just using that as an example.
But I do want to ask
You
about
guys,
that.
you went into pizzas. What's up?
Do you mean like if you're playing a shooter and you're used to using controllers and you're making a transfer to mouse and keyboard?
No, what I'm saying is, what is more valuable to you? The ability to decipher and understand what someone might be thinking, or just being a slight bit more comfortable on a new setup?
I mean, the problem with that is I don't think anybody really doesn't know how to use a mouse and keyboard.
That's not true at all. Console gamers?
Well, that's why I was asking. Like, is it about a transfer of...
yeah, like let's use someone that only uses console gaming and he or she only plays cell phone games.
Analytical is going to help you out at the beginning, but if you keep sticking to it... Or, I'm sorry, mouse and keyboard is going to help you at the beginning. Is going to be the guy who wins at the beginning.
Handling.
And you're going to play for 8 hours, and you're going to be like, okay, well, I know WASD, and I use R to reload, control lets me crouch, and this is my mouse. And after that, if you have the analytical ability, and that person is still, rock stupid, then yeah, you're probably going to end up beating them at that point.
That's what I was looking for. Okay, I think I can agree with that. All right, guys, well, that's going to do it. So this is going to be what we're going to settle on here. Just as always, remember that you can hit us up on a bunch of different social media outlets. Joe?
Yeah, Twitter is going to be Pcin cast. And that's going to probably be our most active one. The Instagram will be up, and the Facebook is ProCastInNation. Links will be in the description.
You got it. So, guys, I really want to thank everyone that watched the last two and gave us some suggestions. We loved them. They were awesome. Sorry, Christian.
Maybe not.
Sorry, not sorry. No, but
we'll go play paintball.
Yeah, I'll buy you some Doritos, bro. I got you. Don't worry. But hey, guys. Check us out next week. I think you guys are going to love the next week one. We have a lot of different subjects that I want to talk about, but there's a few particular ones I think you're going to see. So once again, we were ProCastInNation, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks.
Have a good night.
Later, guys.
Peace.